Welcome back to Derp Shield's Journey into the Unknown. This is part 4, Minty Minmus. In this episode, we are heading to Minmus. My goal for this mission is to hit most, if not all, of the biomes that are currently on Minmus. This was a new feature added in the 0.23 update, which I am very excited for. While I could have gone to Minmus much sooner in this career mode, I decided to wait until I had unlocked the science lab and the 2.5 meter parts just to help with the bouncing around on the planet's surface from biome to biome. The reason for the wait for at least the science lab was so I could reset the Science Bay Junior and the goo canisters, so I would only need to bring one of those. Granted, the 3 tons of the science lab does not really offset the weight of the very small science labs and goo canisters. I just wanted to do it because I wanted to test out the new part and see if it was efficient to bring that along instead of multiple bays and goo canisters. When I created this ship, I was expecting to make a few iterations of it before it was spaceworthy. As it turns out, the first iteration was 95% spaceworthy. Just when it got to the edge of the atmosphere the first time, it spontaneously exploded, so I had to do a relaunch after I added the Kerbals back into the science lab. So pretty much this is the first launch for this ship, which makes me pretty happy that it was so well built the first time. On the whole, this launch went rather well. The only mishap was me not thinking that I had enough Delta V to get into orbit and needing the solid boosters on stage 6. Turns out that I just let those run to make me a higher orbit because I didn't actually need them to get into orbit. Now that we have a circularized orbit and the extra solid boosters are gone, we now have an encounter with the Mun, which is not where we want to go, so we have to fix that somehow. Isn't that Kerbal Space Program? Whenever you want to get an encounter, you have to fight for it. But whenever you don't want to get an encounter with a celestial body, you always seem to get it, and it always throws everything off. I'm particularly not looking forward to Jewel because of this matter. I've never actually been to Jewel in any playthrough, so it will be a new experience, and all those moons are definitely going to play havoc with any encounters that I ever want. So yeah, that's going to be fun. Now that the pesky Mun is out of the way, we can get an encounter with Minmus without any interference, and it turns out to be relatively simple. Without any real planning or forethought on my end, I caught Minmus near enough to the center of its orbit rather than at the high point or the low point during its orbit, which would have made things a bit more iffy. Due to some overzealous time warping, I overshoot my maneuver node by a few seconds, and I reactivate the radial engines just so I could have some extra thrust so I can play catch up quicker. In the future, I'm not going to turn on engines with the throttle turned up because, as you can see, it kind of plays havoc with my rendezvous burn. Would have been fine if I had more SAS units, but this mission I only added one more SAS unit to the ship from the previous mission, so I have a grand total of 2 and the crew cab. And here we are, now arriving within the Minmus SOI. This is the furthest out that any Kerbal has ever been from Kerbin. And as usual, Jebediah is just anxious to get on with it. But we can't just get on with it. We have entered a new realm for science, and science must be done. After watching this and seeing how I struggle to get the data from the various science parts, I think I'm going to add ladders to the science parts so that I can just cling onto them while I'm gathering the data. This will make things ever so much easier when collecting the data to shove back into the crew capsule. Well, this is new. Grabbing the ladder sends you off into space. After much humming and hawing, Jebediah finally manages to climb back into the capsule. Apparently, he finally decided to grab the ladder instead of, kicking off of it. He watched too much Ender's Game before he went on this mission, apparently. After much humming and hawing, Jebediah finally manages to climb back into the capsule. Apparently, he finally decided to grab the ladder instead of, kicking off of it. He watched too much Ender's Game before he went on this mission, apparently. Alright, now that the science for high above Minmus has been done and stored, it's time to get into a stable orbit and prepare to land. I really do like Minmus. There is so little gravity that it takes almost nothing to get you into an orbit, and it takes you almost nothing again to land. Now it's time for the science near Minmus. Alright, now to explain some things with my spacecraft, because as you may have noticed, there's 2 crew cabs but only 1 crew. The reason for this is so that you can store 2 sets of the same data on the same ship without losing anything. This way you get the full benefit of the science for each biome rather than just 80-70% of it that you would get from returning normally. Yay, full effects of the biome. We're gonna get so much science from this mission. Don't even know. And look at that! Jeb doesn't even want to waste time by kicking off the ship. First go, he climbs back in even though it's at a funky angle. Now that that's all done, it's time to descend down to Minmus, the Minty planet. Our first stop will be that frozen lake bed. That'll be our first biome that we visit. Hopefully not all the lake beds are their own biomes, because that's a lot of lake beds. One of the annoying things about Minmus is because it has such low gravity, you can be cruising along at a couple hundred meters per second, tap the throttle for a second or two, and cut that in half. It's very annoying when you need to be descending and you accidentally kill all your velocity. Now for the arduous part of Minmus, landing. Fortunately for me, and also unfortunately, I still have a lot of fuel left in that upper stage. So I'm going to land on the back of that skipper engine, hope it doesn't break, and even if it does, I still have the 4 radial engines, but all the same, it's not landing legs, so it won't be nearly as stable. Let's hope that the 2 crew cabs and the 2 SAS modules can keep it upright. And we're going down slowly. Oh, so very slowly. We don't want to lose that engine. Alright, we're down. Now we're just going to see if the SAS can counteract gravity enough to keep this rather cumbersome, tall rocket standing upright on that engine. And in fact, the SAS will hold it up, although it seems just barely. But just barely is good enough for me. Time to get out and do some science. Time to collect all the science and throw it back in the crew cab. Whoa, yeah. Don't jump on Minmus when you're underneath something. But whee! Alright, now that all the science bits are done, it's time to go plant the flag and grab a surface sample. But yeah, we're on Minmus! Woohoo! Alright, now that all the science is done for this biome, It's time to clean the parts and head to the next area. But boy, does that science lab sure take up a lot of power. Never would have thought that. I'll just need to pick a spot to land. Let's go for that frozen lake bed over there. Maybe that'll work. Maybe it'll be a new biome. You never know. I sure don't, because I've never been to Minmus with biomes. This is brand new territory. Look at that ship. It moves so sedately through the air. Well, not air. Through the vacuum. Alright, enough sedately. Time to get down onto the ground. Yet another slow descent to the surface of the Minmus. I really wish there was a way to speed up landing, other than, you know, crashing. But crashing isn't landing, crashing is crashing. So we have to go for slow. Slow so the science survives. Down on the ground again. Time to start doing science. Yet another slow descent to the surface of the Minmus. I really wish there was a way to speed up landing, other than, you know, crashing. But crashing isn't landing, crashing is crashing. So we have to go for slow. Slow so the science survives. Down on the ground again. Time to start doing science. Whoa, 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 whoa. What's happening to the picture? Well, I'll tell you what happened to the picture. Turns out that Fraps decided to stop recording at this point, so I didn't get any more recorded footage for this. Fortunately, I was also streaming this, so you can watch the rest of the Minmus biomes on the stream, which will be in the upper left-hand corner. But what I can do for you guys is show you where all I landed, and I did manage to land at 5 of the 8 biomes on Minmus before I returned to Kerbin. Anyway, sorry for the technical difficulties. Hope you enjoy the stream if you choose to watch that. Anyway, until next time, it has been fun. Thanks. Bye-bye now.